Gia's phone hit the floor. Not dropped, slipped, like her hands suddenly forgot how to hold anything steady. She wasn't looking at it. She was staring at him. Choi Hanley, smiling. At another woman. Not her. Her chest tightened. Hanley? He turned, and that 1 second, that hesitation, told her everything. The woman beside him stepped forward calmly. I was wondering when you'd find out. Gia blinked. Find out what? The woman smiled slightly. That you were never the only one. If you've ever felt like something was off in your relationship but couldn't prove it, stay with this story, because what she finds out next is worse than cheating. Gia's voice dropped. Han Lee, who is she? He didn't answer. That silence was louder than anything he could have said. The woman stepped closer. Soo Jin, a pause. His fiancée. Me, Gia laughed. A small, broken sound. That's funny. Her eyes locked on him. Because I thought I was his girlfriend. Her voice dropped. Han Lee. And the worst part? He didn't deny it. Gia let out a small breath. Not dramatic, not loud, just empty. Say it, she said quietly. Hanley's jaw tightened. Gia, not like this. Hanley finally exhaled. It's not what you think. Gia smiled faintly. That's what people say when it's exactly what I think. Say it, she repeated. Her voice didn't rise, but something in it shifted, something final. Soo Jin smiled faintly. He couldn't, even if he wanted to. Gia turned sharply. What does that mean? Soo Jin stepped closer, close enough that Gia could see it now, not confidence, control. He's very good at keeping people in separate versions of his life, she said. Gia's heart started racing, fast, uneven. Separate? She whispered. Soo Jin nodded. Yes. A beat, private and public. Gia's stomach dropped. No, she murmured. Hanley finally spoke. That's not what this is. Gia looked at him, really looked, and for the first time, she didn't see warmth, she saw calculation. How long, she asked. He hesitated, and that hesitation was the answer. Gia laughed. A small, broken sound. How long, Hanley? 3 years. The world didn't stop, but something inside her did. 3 years. 3 years of late-night calls. 3 years of whispered stay. 3 years of being everything, except real. She nodded slowly. 3 years, she repeated. Her voice was steady now, too steady. So when people asked, what I was to you, Hanley exhaled sharply. Gia, you said best friend. It wasn't a question. Soo Jin let out a quiet breath. He said that to everyone, she added. Gia's gaze snapped to her. You knew? Soo Jin didn't hesitate. Yes. That hit harder than anything else. Gia stepped back slightly. Not from fear, from understanding. You knew, and you let it happen? Soo Jin's expression didn't change. I needed him stable. Silence. Gia blinked. What? Soo Jin's voice softened, but not kindly. He doesn't function well alone, she said. You helped with that. The words sank in, slow, heavy. Gia felt her chest tighten. Not heartbreak, something worse, realization. I was convenient, she said. Soo Jin shook her head slightly. No. A pause. You were necessary. That was worse, much worse, because necessary things get used. Gia looked back at Hanley, waiting. Jed hoping just once that he would contradict it. He didn't. And that was the moment something inside her broke. Not loudly, not visibly, just permanently. If you're still watching right now, pause for a second and think, what would you do in her place? Stay quiet or burn everything down? Let me know in the comments, because Gia isn't done yet. Outside, the air felt sharp against her skin. Gia walked fast, too fast. Like if she slowed down, everything would collapse. Gia, his voice behind her. Of course, she stopped. Didn't turn. You shouldn't have followed me, she said. I had to. She laughed softly. No, you didn't. Silence, then footsteps. Closer. Look at me, he said. She didn't. I said, look at me. Slowly, she turned, and for the first time, he saw it. She wasn't hurt, not in the way he expected. She was done. Um, what was I to you? She asked. His answer came too quickly. You were important. Gia shook her head. That's not an answer. It is to me. That's the problem, she snapped. Her voice finally cracked. Everything is always about what things mean to you. He flinched. You think I didn't care? Gia stared at him. Long, carefully. I think you cared in a way that didn't cost you anything. That landed, because it was true. I gave you everything, he said quietly. No, she replied immediately. You gave me access. Silence. You gave me moments, she continued. Fragments. Pieces. Her voice dropped. But you never gave me a place in your life that couldn't be replaced. His breathing slowed, uneven now. You're twisting this, he said. Gia smiled faintly. No, she said. I'm finally seeing it. Later that night, as Gia sat alone, staring at her reflection, her phone buzzed. Min Jae, she answered. You okay? He asked immediately. Gia let out a breath. I think I just found out I don't exist. A pause. That's not funny, he said. I'm not joking. Silence, then. Do you want me to come over? Gia hesitated. For a second, then, no. Another pause. Why? Gia looked at herself again, because if she lets someone comfort her now, she might go back. I need to feel this, she said quietly. Min-jae didn't argue, because he understood. Some pain has to be faced alone. Across the city, Han Li sat in silence. Soo-jin stood near the window. You handled that badly, she said. He didn't respond. She didn't know anything, she added. I know. And you still let it continue. He exhaled. I didn't think it would matter this much. Yeon Soo-jin looked at him, long, carefully. That's because you've never had to lose something real before. He looked up. What does that mean? Soo-jin didn't answer, because she knew he was about to find out. The next morning, Gia didn't wake up slowly. She opened her eyes like someone coming up for air. Sharp inhale, immediate awareness. No confusion, no denial, just truth. She stared at the ceiling for a long second, then reached for her phone for Ramon. No messages from him. That surprised her, not because she expected effort, but because she expected control. And silence? That meant something had shifted. She sat up slowly, pressing her fingers against her chest. Her heart wasn't racing anymore. That scared her more than anything, because it meant she was moving on, or worse, she was detaching. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Ooh, she hesitated, answered. Hello? Gia? She froze. Soo-jin, of course. Gia closed her eyes briefly. What do you want? A pause. I think we should talk. Gia let out a quiet laugh. You already said enough. No, Soo-jin replied calmly, not the important part. That made Gia pause. What important part? Soo-jin didn't answer immediately, and that delay, that was intentional. I'll come to you, she said. Before Gia could respond, the line went dead. Gia stared at her phone. Annoyance flickered, then something else. Curiosity. And that was dangerous. An hour later, Soo-jin stood in Gia's doorway. No performance this time. No control. Just presence. Gia didn't invite her in. Didn't need to. Soo-jin stepped inside anyway. Slow. Measured. Like she understood boundaries, but chose when to respect them. Gia crossed her arms. You have 5 minutes. Soo-jin nodded. That's enough. Silence lingered for a moment. Then, I knew about you from the beginning, Soo-jin said. Gia didn't react. Externally. Internally. Everything tightened. I saw your messages, Soo-jin continued. He didn't hide them very well. Gia's jaw clenched. And you stayed silent. Yes. Why? Soo-jin met her gaze directly. Because I needed him to stay exactly where he was. That landed. Hard. Gia's voice dropped on. So I was part of your plan. Soo-jin shook her head slightly. No. A pause. You were the plan. Silence, heavy, uncomfortable. Gia felt something shift again. This wasn't about love anymore. This was strategy. What does that even mean? Gia asked. Sujin exhaled slowly. When I left, I knew he wouldn't handle it well. Gia frowned. So you replaced yourself with me? Not replaced, Sujin corrected. Stabilized. That word felt clinical. Cold. Gia took a step back. You used me. Yes. No hesitation, no apology, just truth. Gia laughed, not because it was funny, because it was absurd. Wow, she muttered. You don't even try to hide it. There's no point now. Sujin's voice softened slightly. I came back because I need to fix something. Gia tilted her head. And that is? Sujin hesitated, just for a second, then, I'm dying. Silence. Gia blinked once, twice, but her expression didn't shift, not yet. How convenient, she said flatly. Sujin didn't react. You don't believe me. Gia shrugged. I don't care enough to verify. That hit, but Sujin accepted it. You should, she said quietly. Why, boy? Because it changes what happens next. Gia's chest tightened slightly. Not emotionally, strategically. What happens next? She asked. Sujin stepped closer. Han Li will try to fix things with you. Gia didn't respond. And when he does, you'll have a choice. A pause. You can take him back. Sujin's eyes sharpened slightly. Or you can destroy him. Silence. Gia stared at her, long, carefully. You think I'm that kind of person? Sujin tilted her head. I think you're the kind of person who stayed 3 years hoping to be chosen. A beat. That kind of person is capable of anything when they finally stop hoping. That hit deeper than anything else because it wasn't an insult. It was accurate. Gia exhaled slowly. Why are you telling me this? Sujin's voice dropped. Because I need to know which one you'll be. Gia frowned. Why does that matter to you? The Sujin looked at her, and for the first time there was something real there. Fear. Because if you destroy him, a pause, I won't have anything left of him either. That changed everything. This wasn't just about survival. It was about control over how things ended. Gia leaned back slightly. You don't get to control that. Sujin smiled faintly. I don't need to. A beat. You already will. And with that, she turned and walked out, leaving Gia alone, again, but this time, with power. Later that day, Hanli finally called. Gia stared at the screen, let it ring, stopped, then rang again and again. On the fourth call, she answered, Gia, meet me. Her voice was calm, too calm, a pause. Okay. Public place, another pause. Why? Gia's eyes narrowed slightly. Because this time, I want witnesses. Silence. Then, all right. She hung up. No hesitation, no emotion, just decision. The cafe was quiet when he arrived. Gia was already there. Same seat, same sunlight. But she looked different. Not softer, sharper. He sat down slowly. Gia, don't explain, she said immediately. I'm not here for that. He frowned. Then why? I'm here to decide what happens to you. Silence. That wasn't what he expected. What does that mean? He asked. Gia leaned forward slightly. I know everything. His expression shifted. How? Iyamula Sujin. That name changed everything. He leaned back, processing. She told you? Yes. A pause. She's dying. His breathing stopped. What? Gia watched him closely, every reaction, every crack. She didn't tell you? Gia asked. He shook his head slowly. No, that silence stretched, heavy, real. And for the first time, he wasn't thinking about control. He was thinking about loss. Gia saw it, and something inside her softened, just slightly, but not enough. You didn't think I mattered, she said quietly. He looked up. That's not true. Gia held his gaze. Then why didn't you choose Mafia? No answer, because there wasn't one. I'm not asking for an explanation, she added. I'm asking for honesty. His voice came out lower now. I didn't choose you because I knew if I did, I could lose you. Gia blinked. What? He exhaled. If I called you mine, if I made it real, his voice tightened, then you could leave. Silence. Gia stared at him. So instead, you kept me in a place where I couldn't? He didn't deny it. And that was the truth. Raw, ugly, real. Gia leaned back slowly, absorbing it. You didn't protect me, she said. You controlled the outcome. He didn't respond because he couldn't. She reached into her bag, pulled out her phone, opened it, recording. His eyes widened. Gia, what are you doing? She didn't answer, just held the phone steady. You're going to say everything again, she said, clearly. His chest tightened. Why? Gia's voice didn't shake. Because I deserve the truth in a form that can't be erased. Silence. People around them shifted slightly, unaware of what was happening. Or maybe aware enough. Say it, she said, his hands clenched. Then slowly, he spoke. I kept you hidden because it made things easier for me. Her grip tightened slightly. I didn't choose you because I didn't want to risk losing control. A beat. And I let you believe something that wasn't real because it benefited me. Silence, complete, heavy. Gia stared at the screen, her reflection in his. Two versions of truth, now recorded, now permanent. He looked at her. Is that enough? She didn't answer immediately. Her thumb hovered over the screen. Upload, delete, expose him, or walk away. Her hand trembled, just slightly, not strong, not perfect, human. If you've ever had the chance to destroy someone who hurt you, you know this moment, this exact moment, where pain turns into power, and power demands a decision. Gia inhaled slowly, then she turned the screen off, she deleted it, and placed the phone back in her bag. Hanley stared at her. Why? Her voice came out soft but final. Because I don't need to destroy you to know I deserve better. Silence. Then she stood. I just needed you to admit that I did. She picked up her bag, turned, paused. Not for him, for herself, then walked away. And this time, she didn't hesitate. If you made it this far, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments. Would you have exposed him or walked away like Gia did? Because the truth is, not every victory feels good, and not every ending feels like closure. And now let me leave you with this. If someone keeps you hidden, but needs you to survive, were you ever loved or just necessary?